There was no voicemail about any inheritance, my stepmom lied, deleting Mom's last message right in front of me. What she didn't know. I'd already recorded everything, including her confession to her lawyer friend. The notification had come at 3:47 a.m., 2 days after my mother's funeral. One new voicemail. Mom's number. My hands shook as I played it, her voice weak but clear through the hospital's interference. Olivia, sweetheart, I don't have much time. Listen carefully. Under the floorboards in my old studio, beneath where I kept the blue painting supplies. Everything I couldn't tell you. Your father's first will. Proof about Diane. I love you so much, my artist. Never let her. The message cut off. Machines beeping. A crash. Then nothing. My name is Olivia Chen, and at 26, I'd just lost the only parent who'd ever truly loved me. Mom had been fighting cancer for 2 years, and for 2 years, my stepmother Diane had been circling like a vulture, waiting for her to die. I saved that voicemail immediately, backed it up to 3 different clouds, and emailed it to myself. Something in Mom's tone told me this message was important. Maybe the most important thing she'd ever tell me. The next morning, I knocked on the door of my childhood home. The house where Mom had raised me after Dad died, where she'd remarried Diane 5 years ago thinking she'd found companionship for her final years. What she'd found instead was a parasite. Oh, Olivia. Diane opened the door wearing Mom's silk robe, the one I'd bought her last Christmas. I wasn't expecting you. I need to get some things from Mom's studio, I said, pushing past her. The studio's locked. I'm having it cleaned out for renovation. She followed me down the hall. This house is so big for just me. I'm thinking of selling. Mom's been dead for 3 days. Life goes on, sweetie. She said it with that fake sympathy she'd perfected. We all grieve differently. I noticed boxes in the living room. Mom's books, her photo albums, her collections. All being packed away like she'd never existed. I got a voicemail from Mom, I said carefully, watching Diane's face. From the hospital. Her last message. Something flickered in Diane's eyes. Fear? Guilt? It was gone too fast to tell. Oh, what did she say? She mentioned something about the studio. Something she left for me. Diane's laugh was too bright, too quick. Your mother was heavily medicated at the end, Olivia. The doctors said she was confused, talking about people who weren't there, remembering things that never happened. This sounded pretty clear. Grief is hard, honey. Sometimes we hear what we want to hear. She patted my shoulder with Mom's manicured nails. She'd already taken over Mom's standing appointment at the salon. Why don't you let me listen? Maybe I can help interpret what she meant. I pulled out my phone, pretending to navigate to the voicemail. Here, let me just. Diane snatched the phone from my hands with surprising speed. Her fingers flew across the screen. What are you doing? I reached for it, but she stepped back. I'm trying to help. Oh no. She gasped dramatically. I'm so sorry, I accidentally deleted it. These new phones are so sensitive. She handed it back, and sure enough, the voicemail was gone. What she didn't know was that I'd anticipated this. The phone she'd grabbed was my old one, loaded with a duplicate voicemail that I'd been ready to sacrifice. There was no voicemail about any inheritance, Diane said firmly, the mask slipping for just a moment. Your mother left everything to me. The will was very clear. I didn't say anything about inheritance, I said quietly. I said she mentioned the studio. Diane's face went pale, then red. Well, whatever she said, it's gone now. And really, it's for the best. No need to cling to painful last words. Right. Of course. I pocketed my phone. I'll just go. That's best. I'll call you when I'm ready to give you some of your mother's things. Maybe a nice photo album. I left without another word, but I didn't go far. I parked around the corner and pulled out my real phone, opening the recording app that had been running during our entire conversation. Diane's confession was crystal clear. She'd known about the voicemail's contents before I'd mentioned inheritance. But I needed more. That night, I returned to the house. I still had my key. Diane hadn't thought to change the locks yet. I knew she'd be at her weekly wine night with her lawyer friend, Patricia Hoffman. They met every Thursday at the country club, had for years. Mom's studio was padlocked, but I'd learned to pick locks in college, long story. Inside, everything was untouched. Diane hadn't started her renovation yet. I went straight to where Mom kept her blue painting supplies, pried up the floorboard, and found a metal box. Inside were 3 documents that made my blood run cold. My father's original will, leaving everything to me in trust until I turned 25, with my mother as executor. A second will, clearly forged, leaving everything to Diane if Mom predeceased me. Medical records showing Diane had been slowly poisoning my mother with mercury. Small doses in her food, accelerating the cancer, making her seem more confused than she was. My hands shook as I photographed everything. Mom hadn't just been killed by cancer. She'd been murdered. I was about to leave when I heard voices. Diane was home early, and she wasn't alone. Told you to wait until after the memorial, Patricia was saying. Now the girl's suspicious. She had a voicemail, Pat, from Catherine, talking about the studio and proof. I had to delete it. I crept closer to the door, turning on my phone's recorder again. You should have let me handle it, Patricia said. Like I handled the wills. Clean, legal looking. Legal looking isn't the same as legal, Diane snapped. If she finds those documents. She won't. We'll burn everything in that studio tomorrow. Should have done it right after Catherine died. What if she made copies? Of documents she didn't know existed? You're paranoid. I heard liquid pouring, wine probably. Besides, even if she found something, who'd believe her? A grieving daughter making wild accusations against her stepmother? Please. The mercury thing still worries me. It shouldn't. The beauty of mercury poisoning is that it mimics dementia. Every doctor who saw Catherine just thought the cancer was affecting her mind. No one tests for heavy metals in a cancer patient. They kept talking, laying out their entire scheme. How Diane had targeted my mother after learning about my father's tech company fortune. How she'd systematically isolated Mom from friends, convinced her to sign powers of attorney, slowly poisoned her while playing the devoted wife. The best part, Diane laughed, is that Olivia actually thanked me once. Said she was so grateful Mom had me to take care of her. I bit my hand to keep from screaming. Just stick to the plan, Patricia advised. Sell the house, liquidate the assets, and move to Costa Rica like we discussed. 6 months from now, you'll be sipping margaritas on the beach. What about Olivia? What about her? She's a struggling artist with no money for lawyers. Even if she tries to fight the will, I'll bury her in legal fees until she gives up. I'd heard enough. I slipped out through the back door and drove straight to the police station. But I didn't go in. Not yet. First, I needed to be smart about this. The next morning, I called my friend Marcus, a tech genius who specialized in digital forensics. I need you to authenticate some recordings and create uneditable backups. Legal trouble? The opposite. I'm trying to prove some very illegal things. While Marcus worked his magic, I hired a private investigator to dig into Diane and Patricia's past. What he found was a pattern. 2 other elderly spouses who died under mysterious circumstances, leaving everything to Diane. Both times, Patricia had handled the legal work. I also visited Mom's oncologist. Did you ever test my mother for heavy metal poisoning? Dr. Patel looked puzzled. Why would we? She had stage 4 cancer. Humor me. If someone were slowly poisoning a cancer patient with mercury, what would it look like? He went very still. It would accelerate the cancer, cause confusion, tremors, memory loss. Why are you asking this? I showed him the medical records I'd found. His face went white. My God, these levels. This is attempted murder. Successful murder. Will you testify to that? Absolutely. Your mother deserved better. We all failed her by not looking closer. Armed with evidence, recordings, and expert testimony, I finally went to the police. Detective Sarah Mills listened to everything, her expression growing darker with each revelation. This is one of the most cold-blooded schemes I've ever seen, she said. We'll need to move fast before they destroy more evidence. There's a wine night tonight, I offered. They'll both be at the country club. Perfect. We'll execute search warrants while they're gone. But I had one more card to play. That evening, I called Diane. Olivia, this is unexpected. I wanted to apologize, I said, making my voice small and defeated. You were right. I was just hearing what I wanted to hear in that voicemail. Grief makes us do strange things. Oh, sweetie, I'm so glad you understand. The relief in her voice was palpable. I know this is hard, but your mother would want us to move forward. Actually, I was wondering if I could have something from her studio? Just one painting? Before you renovate. Of course. I'll be out tonight, but come by tomorrow and take whatever you'd like. You're so generous, Diane. Mom was lucky to have you. I could practically hear her preening. We were lucky to have each other. Have a good night, dear. She'd have a memorable night, all right. I watched from my car as Detective Mills' team descended on the house and Patricia's office simultaneously. By the time Diane and Patricia realized what was happening, it was too late. Officers were waiting at the country club with arrest warrants. The local news had a field day. Black Widow murders. 2 women arrested in poisoning scheme. The story went national when reporters discovered the pattern of dead spouses. But the real satisfaction came during the trial. Diane took the stand, still trying to play the grieving widow. Then the prosecutor played my recordings. The jury watched Diane's face as her own voice filled the courtroom. The beauty of mercury poisoning is that it mimics dementia. Patricia tried to claim attorney-client privilege, but plotting murder isn't covered. She turned on Diane quickly, hoping for a plea deal. It didn't help. They both got life without parole. After the verdict, I stood in Mom's studio, my studio now. The house had been returned to me along with everything else Diane had stolen. But I didn't want it. Too many ghosts. I sold it and used the money to establish the Catherine Chen Foundation for Elder Abuse Prevention. We provide free legal services to seniors and their families, helping them protect their assets and health from predators like Diane. The first thing I did was set up a memorial in Mom's honor. Not a tombstone, she already had that, but a living memorial, an art program for cancer patients, held in the same hospital where she'd spent her final days, where she'd used her last breath to protect me. I kept one thing from the house, Mom's last painting, unfinished on her easel. It was a sunrise over the ocean, all blues and golds and hope. She'd been working on it the week before she died, back when she still had good days. Sometimes I stand in front of it and play that saved voicemail, hearing her voice. I love you so much, my artist. Never let her. She never finished the sentence, but she didn't need to. Never let her win. Never let her erase you. Never let her steal your legacy. I didn't, Mom. I promised her memory I wouldn't, and I kept that promise. Diane thought she could delete my mother's last message, and with it, all evidence of her crimes. But she learned what everyone who underestimates grieving daughters eventually discovers. We don't delete. We document. We investigate. We pursue justice with the cold fury of someone who has nothing left to lose. Mom's voicemail saved me. Her final act of love was leaving me a trail of breadcrumbs that led straight to the truth. Diane deleted a voicemail, thinking she was erasing evidence. Instead, she erased herself from freedom, from wealth, from everything she'd killed to obtain. The recording of that deletion? It's saved in 12 different places now. Cloud storage, safety deposit boxes, my lawyer's files. Because unlike Diane, I learned the most important lesson. Never delete anything. You never know when someone's last words might be the key to justice. And justice, like a mother's love, is forever.